Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am so sorry that we're a few minutes late, or 15 of those to be exact. We were live in the Hormone Balance School and time ran away with us. But I'm super excited to be here this evening, and thank you to everyone that's joining live. And I wanted to introduce you to someone really special in my life. She's a fantastic friend. She's an incredible sophrologist and just an all-round good human. So Dominique, welcome.
Thank you, Dominique. Equally happy to be here, equally happy to be your friend and to be amongst great people here tonight. I'm really excited. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And just to introduce what Dominique does, and well, besides being a super mum, she runs an incredible business called Be Sophro. She's a sophrologist. She's an author of the book called The Life-Changing Power of Sophrology. And she's also has a wonderful online program, which we're going to dive into a little bit as well. So I think the little story I always love to tell is that when we first met all those years ago, I think we said it was 6 or 7 years ago now. I mean, time goes so quick. And you introduced yourself and told me what you did, and you said you were a sophrologist, and I was completely sophrolo what? I was just like, I have no idea what that is. So I think that I'm not alone in that, and I'd love for you to explain what sophrology is, and then for us to really dive into the whole stress response and how the body reacts to stress. So
right. Oh, yeah. So sophrology is a form of meditation. We could call it a dynamic meditation. It's a unique combination of relaxation technique blended with breathing, body awareness work, and visualization. It's been around for more than 50 years in continental Europe, and I'm kind of importing this well-established method in continental Europe to an English-speaking audience from London, and yeah, so it's really a way for people to meditate in a more easy way. In this busy modern life, I think we can struggle with calming the mind, and that's one of the difference sophrology has with meditation, is that it gives you an easy way into meditation using more body awareness moves, oxygenating the brain in a different way. And it has also an aspect around performance. So sophrology not only teaches you to be present like meditation, but it also helps you to build up your resilience and prepare for specific events, for example, presentation or goals that you have in your life in relation to the future. Yeah, so it's really about creating those new resources inside you to be able to move forward in a positive way.
And so I mean, when we first met, I started coming to see you personally. At that point I was so busy in clinic, which was amazing, but I completely did not know how to manage my own time, how to set my own boundaries. And I was helping women with their hormonal symptoms and their hormonal worries, and I was getting such positive results for them in clinic. And yet my own personal life, suddenly my periods were all over the place again. I wasn't sleeping. I was trying to get pregnant. We weren't falling pregnant. And all of this was happening when I first came to see you. And I guess for me, I'm not the only woman that does that. I'm not the only woman that is spinning all these plates and keeps living at a pace that is actually not sustainable. It's not sustainable to anyone. It's almost living at like an athlete's pace, but you're not doing the training, you're not doing the resting, you're not doing the proper eating, you're just doing the stressing. And do you feel that with sophrology in particular, so now that it's becoming more well known as well, do you feel like the type of women that you get in your practice, do you feel like they are in that state of overwhelm already when they come and see you?
Yes, I mean, I have different type of clients, and yes, everybody is different. That's the beauty of my job as well. I think stress means different thing for different people, but definitely the pace of life is going more fast. I think that's what I notice. I think the amount of information we get every day because we're connected to our phones is overwhelming for the brain. Unless we put clear boundary with that, we are going to be overwhelmed. I think there's a pressure for women to do everything, be everywhere, look a certain way. And I think knowing who you are and what you stand for these days is even more important than ever. So you can actually put the boundary and feel, let go a bit of the guilt and just enjoy life again, and just be authentic to who you want to be and who you are deep inside you. And I think this is one of my work is to, through the tool of sophology, to allow people to kind of reconnect within and find this inside, because we all know who we are inside, but we just sometimes we digress or we go different ways.
Absolutely. And I think that, that one thing that we were saying, we completely always just switched on. We switched on to social media, we switched on to email, everything's pinging on our phones. But the one thing that social media has done is it's created awareness for stress.
Yeah.
And it's created awareness for the negative impacts of stress. So we are doing this session in Stress Awareness Week, which was not planned at all, but it's just fallen so nicely into this. And in the Hormone Balance School, we've actually done our whole theme for this week is about really nurturing the body, really reducing that stress response, being able to give ourselves tools to be more resilient to stress as well, and to be able to buffer that stress more comfortably, as well as make rest a priority. And it's something that we dived deep into about how stress can negatively affect the body. Now, some stress is really good. We need a bit of stress to keep us from getting out of bed and to get out of the house and to be just doing life. But it's where we start tipping into that dangerous chronic stress state. And I feel that that's really having a catastrophic effect on our hormonal health, our mental health, and our physical well-being. But in particular, I want to discuss hormonal health because I feel that, and this is just very high or simply put, that message of stress overrides other messages in the body. And we can get ourselves so overwhelmed that even when the stressful situation has ended, we're still in this stress state, and our baseline becomes so much higher, so we can't actually get to that lower point of de-stressing. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about, that whole perception of stress and what that can do in the body and how that affects our well-being.
Yeah, I think what I always compare it is like this kind of tunnel vision. Like, when you're stressed, your perspective shuts down, you can't be present in what's going on inside yourself and in the world around you. You can simply not enjoy life. This is not possible because the level of hormones you have and the level of stress in your brain just makes you ready to fight or flight. And it's not about enjoying and enjoying the small pleasure of life or connecting with your loved ones. It's just so it's literally not only bad for your body, but it's really bad for your mind, because you can not just be who you want to be and enjoy life for what you have. And it's easy to go years after years on automatic pilot, I call it. You're in this life and you're just responding to every stress that comes to you. And I think sophology is a lot about recentering and deciding that, yes, some things I will respond, but some things I will actually perhaps not respond, or I will give a different answer, so that I build a new direction. So I decided, to change something in that response. And I think it's key. And we were also saying it's about perception. So I think when you're stressed, every little problem, every emotion, you get caught into it, and you lose the sight of a wider the ability to look at things in a more, having more perspective simply, and that's very damaging to taking good decisions for you. It's, you can't plan ahead, you always feel that something is threatening you, and that's the perception you get from life. Yeah. And I think it's that quality of being and relationship, and you can't have those lovely conversation, you can't have those experience, and you're probably even blocking success, or because basically even success can't come to you, or you can't attract what you're capable of attracting because you're so stressed and in that tunnel vision. Yeah.
I totally agree, and I think that if we just break it down, so when we stress, we our perception of stress starts in the brain, and this gives a whole cascade of different hormonal reactions in the body, and one of those reactions is this elevation of cortisol. And cortisol is such an important hormone, but it does so many different things in the body, and it uses a lot of nutrients, and this is where our work really goes hand in hand together, because we need nutrients to be stressed, first of all, and we want to keep that stress response down because it uses a lot of the body's economy. It uses a lot of what I refer to as Bitcoin. All the nutrients that we've taken in to help our body trade and do well gets used in this stress response. And again, that's just a very simple way of putting it. That's not a scientific explanation. And then if we keep having these elevated or dysregulated cortisol levels, it's going to have a knock-on effect on our other hormones. It can maybe keep us up at night, so we're not getting that proper melatonin, that deep sleep. That then affects so many other things, like brain needs to detoxify, your body needs the rest, but it has a knock-on effect the next day as well, where you may be more hungry because your hormones have been, your hunger and satiety hormones are out of balance. And as these things are just going on through the day, I feel that in modern life, we're just looking for a pill to try and help. So if you can't sleep, it's a pill to help you sleep. And then if you can't wake up, it's an energy drink to keep you going, or it's caffeine, or it's sugar. And then if you always hungry, then you're starting to look for like an appetite suppressant. It's all these different things where I feel if we look upstream, if we start looking at like, where's this cascade coming from? And we start implementing simple tools, then we can have a reduction in the stress as a whole. And I feel that your work and your message and your book and everything that you do just completely encompasses all of that.
Thank you. And also I think that once you start using those simple tools of sophology, and you start to eat better and to feel a bit more aligned with who you are, then you can really see where that stress comes from, because that's my job as a sophologist, is to help this nervous system and cortisol level to kind of balance again and that doesn't take that long. Actually our body is very responsive. You do a 10-minute practice every day, and over a week and a half you already have those change in cortisol. Yeah, so it's not like something unachievable. But I think the beauty is that when the body starts to quiet and the nervous system to be more balanced, then you start to have the clarity what it is that drive that stress state. Because I think overactivity can be a stress, but I think in this modern world, I think it's not the amount of activity we do, it's how we do them. What's behind this thing you want to achieve? Yeah. Are you fearful about the future? Are you struggling with your confidence? Is there anger driving this whole relationship? And I think as we start to connect with the body, and the stress response starts to be a bit more settled, we can then access through the practice and start to unlock those things that drive the stress. Yeah, because I think if you like what you do and you're very active, but you've got the energy to do, then stress is good. Yeah, it's a good stress. You're thriving, you're doing things, and there's nothing wrong with being very active. Yeah, if you've got the energy. And I think this is also a good message for doers. Yeah, because there are a lot of people out there who have a lot of energy and wants to do things in life, and I think we should encourage them by saying, yeah, you can do all these things. And the more you're free inside you, the more the more you can actually enjoy that energy. Yeah.
And I think that's so important, because I feel like a lot of the people that are in the groups with me, they really are suffering from low energy. And what I'm trying to really encourage is that people do a body scan every day, or as many days as they can in the week, and just really check in on their body, and really focus on the positives first, and then on the symptoms that still need to be worked on. But there's a difference between having energy and running on adrenaline, or being hyper. So using caffeine and using sugar and using stimulants to keep you going. So there's a very difference in hyper energy and in actual energy. And I feel that if we start becoming more body aware, we're going to start picking that up, because I know when I'm hyper.
Yes.
I know it. I speak even faster than I normally do. If you're talking to me, I'm listening to you with half my ear, and the other half is already on the next task, or I'm looking at you thinking, God, just hurry up now. Like, I don't even want you to finish your sentence. I know that's that state, and I feel that a lot of us are living in that state, or at least that's what I'm seeing in clinic.
Yeah.
That we don't know how to go.
Yeah.
And with that state, I'm seeing more hormonal symptoms, more hot flushes. I'm seeing more amenorrhea, so where people aren't menstruating. I'm seeing more people with abdominal adipose tissue, so belly fat, that they're not able to shift because they're in this continuous stress response without realizing it. So I think what you've said there is so key, and I'd love for everyone that's tuned in and listening to really tune into you, and to really feel like, what is my energy levels truly like? Am I running on adrenaline, caffeine, all of that? Or am I actually energized? And if you're energized, go for it. If you're energized, smash those goals, do what you need to do. But if you're running on adrenaline and anxiety, then we need to take a step back.
Yeah, no, I also think that maybe people don't really know how to tune in. I think we often tune in only when the body starts to struggle, where we start to have those aches and dysfunction. And I think sophrology offers a simple way where you have a sequence practice that takes you to different combination of relaxation, of body awareness exercise, so that over time, repeating that, you will start to know your body much better. You will notice what you need. You will notice that you perhaps lack fluid today and you need to drink more. You will know when to stop, and you will listen to the signal, because I think if you do follow your body, then I think you have a good chance to stay in good health. Yeah. Because that's the body tells us all. Yeah, it tells us which emotion we feel, what we need in this moment, and that's always that's something we can trust. Yeah.
And I think that if we don't listen to the signals, if you don't listen to your body saying you need some rest, you don't listen to that, then your body will help you to listen. So, getting really ill, I experienced that myself, I was so excited with everything that I was doing, with the challenge, everything. And I was going at 100 miles an hour, because I didn't actually realize how incredibly amazing it could be, and how many people would be involved. And so the week before the school started, the weekend before, I got this high fever, and I was lady down, woman down for 2 days. And I was just like, aha.
Yeah, and we all like that. I think, nobody can escape that. We're human beings, and we're going through this experience, and there's nothing wrong with having those symptoms. I think we should not have extra pressure to kind of be perfect. I think we just on this journey, and basically we learn along the way, and the configuration of our lives changes all the time, and that's what is difficult as well. It's once you master a certain aspect of stress, then there will be other stress coming. Life is always gonna throw new things at you, and it's gonna be new challenges all the time. So I think having a set of tools that allows you to navigate this in a centered way, it's really an invaluable asset to have in life. Yeah,
I totally agree. And I think that if I look at all that you have achieved over the last few years, I mean, your life from when we met. I mean, both of our lives have completely transformed. You know, we've got little ones, you know, there's like a lot of things. I mean, you've gone through hormonal shifts, you know, fertility journey, pregnancy, postpartum. You've written a book, and, you know, with a small child, and all these things are quite overwhelming. Having been there myself as well, you know, it's like it can be extremely overwhelming. I used sophrology through the whole time, you know, birth preparation, postpartum, just trying to like chill the hell out before the book went out as well, because I was so nervous. So I'd love to know from you, like, you've obviously used sophrology from a very young age, or I know your story, you know, that from 15 years old, that's when you first went to your first sophrologist session. That was like the path that you were meant to take from then. But during all these different life stages and during all these changes, were you able to draw on the practice?
Yeah, gosh, yes. I think I draw on it every day. I think it's become so part of me that, you know, I'm always a bit in that spirit of looking after myself, or trying to balance. I think I factor well-being as part of everything else in my life. It's there, yeah. It's part of what I plan. It's not something I do outside of the plan. That's the plan, yeah. And I think yes, I've also have my up and down. You know, when you become a mother, I don't think any woman on this planet can become a mother and not struggle at some point. I think this is normal, and it's such a massive learning curve that, you know, you're gonna be challenged. And for me, it was more the sleep aspect that I found challenging, because I've always slept like a log and needed a good amount of sleep, and I enjoyed my sleep, yeah. And when my son came along, Elliot, I think, you know, like every mom, I realized now there's not this quality of sleep anymore, yeah. My sleep will be broken up. Some nights I won't sleep, and still to this day he's 4 and he's regularly calling me to just check if I'm here, and that breaks my sleep, yeah. So what I'm doing is, because I'm active, I'm working, I have my business. I think I take sophrology sometimes in the taxi even, and I use that state of alpha brainwave state that we go in when we practice, closing the eyes, using the relaxation in the body, is that we can have as mom, you know, all these things we need to anticipate. You know, we could always be like, allows you to stay centered. It's gonna be hard, yeah, otherwise. So I used sophrology for recuperation for a long time. I think when Elliot came, my kind of self-development was kind of pushed a bit to the side, because it was not time to self-develop, because you are inside self-development. As soon as you become a mom, that's self-development in life, in life, yeah. So and it was just sometimes about just surviving through this experience with sophrology, and using sophrology to remain balanced, yeah. And I think without that, I don't think I would have had the clarity to write a book, yeah, or to even think about, you know, all the things as an author. You know that, like, it's a kind of a big learning curve as well to become an author. So suddenly a lot of things open up, and you're like, okay, how do I deal with this now, yeah. So
I mean, I always marvel at the way that you are able to organize your time and your energy, and it's something that I've always just aspired to do more of, is to like be more Dominique. Like, being able to.
And for me, it's the cooking, yeah, because I see all what you cook, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't cook half of this, yeah. So I think we all have our strengths, and I think we all have things to learn. And I think, you know, for me, having been able to learn about nutrition with you, that has supported me a lot as well. I think being able to learn about nutrition. And I remember when I think when I was pregnant or before, you were telling me, yeah, you know, those changes you're doing with your breakfast, for example. You know, I was kind of having like a more continental approach of breakfast, and you were offering me to include those protein in the morning. And initially, when 7 years ago, I was like, oh, are you sure? An egg for breakfast? Anyway, so and you know, you said you're learning this then to be able to transmit it to your family, and you have no idea how these small changes are now so important to our family, and how I can spot when Elliot has had not enough protein in his day, because now I can spot these states, and it's a lot about what you give to eat to your child that will make your child a happy or not a happy one. Yeah. So this has been extremely useful for me as a mom, as a professional as well. So
amazing. Thank you. I'm so pleased to hear that. That makes me very happy. And then tell me, you mentioned the alpha state.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that and why it's important to get into that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the alpha brainwave state is we have different brainwave in the brain depending on which state we are. So when we are meditating, practicing sophrology or daydreaming, we are in alpha brainwave state, and it's been proven that this state is recuperation for the body. It's balancing the nervous system. It's repairing cells. It's healing from trauma. So this is healing. Yeah, it's just happened. It's something natural, and we go through these different states as well when we sleep, where we have other waves, and that's the more we can connect with these waves throughout the day, this will protect us from the negative effect of stress on the body, and help us recuperate and better deal with life, basically. Yeah.
Incredible. And so how do we get into that? Is that something that we need to consciously do? Is that something that happens when we are asleep as well?
Yeah, I think, one way is really through meditation, or sometimes, when you have a massage and you're just in this really relaxed state between awakening and sleep. And so there are different ways to get there, but I think sophrology really offers a simple way to get there, through a combination of breathing, a little bit of movement to shift those tension, because often if your body is tense or your mind is tense, you can't get to that state. So sophrology gives you a simple way to get there, and then when you are in that state, then you can it's a bit like opening a new door within you, and accessing resources that you couldn't access if you are not in that state. So in that state, your brain, your mind lets go a little bit. Yeah, you can't think and focus in the same way, but equally you can start to tune into resources, body awareness, past and event, positive sensation, stuff that are more intuitive, are more perceptive, and that inform your experience of life in a deeper way. And that's where a treasure is. That's where all your resources are. And if you're able to connect there and know how to find more confidence, know how to sleep better, how to release your anxiety when you're in that state, then when you open your eyes, you're gonna be feeling different. Yeah. And if you do this on a regular basis, then it just adds on every time, and you're expanding awareness. Yeah.
Incredible. So what I took away from that is that we need to have more massages and do sophrology.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And watch these coffees, and watch the hydration and sugar, as you say. I think it's all baby steps. I think we can't do everything in one go. I think we need to decide where we want to start, where it's easy to start, and then implement small things that we can do on a daily basis to feel better. Yeah, no pressure.
And that's definitely my message as well. It's like those small consistent changes over time bring about the biggest and the most beneficial changes to health. And I think if we can let go of that perfectionist It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. We can let go of that, then we can start making more space to heal. Like, what can you take off of your plate that isn't so essential or really necessary in your life that you have to get done, so that you can create space to be doing something like sophrology, your deep breathing, going to bed, like prioritizing sleep. What can you do? And that's the only person that can answer that is you. Like, you know what, if you make a list and everything that you do in the week, and then try and take 3 things off of your list, I think you're going to start creating more space to do things like sophrology.
Yeah, and also attract new things in your life that are potentially a different energy. Yeah, I think we get caught up in thinking that if we don't do certain things, things will not go as planned. But actually, when you create space in your life, less is more, and you actually on this journey anyway. Yeah, so it's gonna happen, everything will go well. Yeah, if you listen to yourself, things will just start to fall into place. Yeah,
And I feel like if we start really working on reducing the stress in our lives, and we use these different tools, then, and we eating to balance our blood sugar levels, so because that also has a knock-on effect with cortisol, and we're going to bed at a good time so that we're getting enough rest, because again, that has an effect on cortisol. When we start doing all of those things, then we start creating a space for ourselves where we can feel more confident. Something happens within. I was there, burnt out, living off sugar, waking up in the middle of the night to eat chocolates. I was not sleeping. I was an insomniac, and my self-confidence was rock bottom. I didn't want to be seen. It was a very dark place to be in. And as things started changing, slow steps, it took a long time, very slow steps. Then I got my brain back, and I got this confidence, and I wanted to try new things and to be in different places. And I feel that I'm really hoping that whoever we reach in with this talk this evening, because I feel that the intention is whoever needs to hear this the most will find us, that sort of space and the creation of space can happen, so that we can start feeling more confident, feeling better, reducing our symptoms. So what are your top, I don't know how many top tips you have for us. Should we say 5? Your 5 top tips to reduce stress in this modern world. How do we navigate? Because we can't change every single situation. We can't wave a magic wand. We'd love to. So we need to try and help you navigate the stressful modern life that we live in.
Yeah, I think the first one is is understanding and having the intention that rest is important. And by rest, I mean some nurturing time for yourself. Rest is not necessarily lying on your bed. It can be reading a book that you like, or going for a walk, or having some time where you're out of this race. Yeah, and that's really important. I think this often needs to be planned and look ahead of time, so you can look at your schedule and say, okay, I'm gonna take that time this week to do that. Because unless you plan it in this modern world, I think it's very unlikely to happen. Yeah. Second tip, I think hydration, drinking water, making sure you drink enough is key. Because if you don't drink enough, you lack that clarity, you feel agitated, your sleep will be disturbed, and then you might mix it with a sense of stress and tension in your body, but it's actually dehydration. Yeah. I think, of course, screen habits. I think we are in a new age now. It's different. We need to know how to deal with social media, with screen time, and unfortunately, unless we learn how to put those boundaries, at the moment nobody will teach us. Yeah, hopefully they will teach this at school now going forward, because there is a way to live with technology in a positive way. So you drive technology, and technology doesn't drive you. Yeah. So all these notification, I'm encouraging you to delete your notification, so that not every 5 minutes when you're concentrating, you're going towards something else, and decide which apps, or what are the information that makes me happy there, what are the information I want to know about, that it actually comes from you rather than being pushed on you. Yeah, I
Yes,
think
I love that.
yeah, that's so important, because I think there's no good or bad technology. There's only the technology you allow to use. Yeah, and some people don't like social media, and that's fine. Some people like it. I think it's, it's how you feel about it. And if you want to delete all your social media, then do it. Why not experimenting with a different way of life? Yeah, and if you love that, and that you feel that through this you can connect with good friends, and you have get then body work. I think, being an osteopath originally, I think body work is important. Movement, seeing your osteopath, having a good massage, or doing some sort of once a month or every 6 weeks, doing something that I think it's always nice, yeah, to have that if you can. And social habits, I think, watching out these toxic relationship. We all have these difficult relationship in our lives, and I think we need to make the space for good relationships. And when relationships are stressful, there's enough stress in life without having a friend that becomes a stress. Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you have those toxic relationship, and you don't have to put up with it. Yeah, so I think it's about deciding and being in the driving seat of your life, and allowing supportive people around you, people that you enjoy spending time, that you can laugh with, that you can share, being open with them, being who you are, and not being afraid to say when things are difficult or when you're struggling. Because I think mental health, we know now that, sharing how we feel is already decreasing the stress a lot. So sometimes a conversation with your best friend is worth 10,000 consultation, yeah, of any kind, yeah. And then I think it's really about understanding where the stress comes from in your life. I don't believe that a lot of activity in themselves will just create a negative chronic stress in your life. I think it's more about, do you do the things you like, and how do you do what you do in daily life? What do you get out of what you do in daily life? And what's the driving force that's behind your activity? Do you enjoy it? Are you fearful? Does it challenge you? Do you have too much on? Do you put the right boundaries? Do you have time for yourself? I think it's really starting to look a bit in the background of that stress, yeah, because stress can also be like a thing where everything is stress. Yeah, these days almost like a fashion. I'm stressed. Oh my god, I've got too much on. It almost is trendy to say that. Yeah,
but it used to be trendy. I feel like it's that we need to stop that now. It's not cool to
it's not cool at all. So yeah, so I think and I think sophology will help you to decrease that stress, and at some point reflect on what you can do, and what is the priority to address in your life in terms of stress. Yeah,
amazing. Thank you. I feel that everyone should do sophrology. I feel it really complements the work that I do. I even speak about it in my book. So, I really, truly believe that it is a wonderful tool, and it's so easily accessible as well. So how do people get hold of you? How can they start practicing sophrology today?
So I think, sophology is accessible through my website. It's called bsophro.com, SOPHRO, sophology is with PH. There you can find my book, The Life-Changing Power of Sophology. You can maybe look at it here. It's available on Amazon, and it's got 13 recordings where you can start sophology right away, taking you through everything you need to know about sophrology, about my personal story, what I've seen in my practice, what are the changes that I've noticed with sophrology. There's some case studies as well in there. Otherwise, for those who don't want to read and don't want to learn through reading, they can do an online course. It's called Relax, Reset and Overcome Stress. It's a 12-day course, and you are taken through the very basic steps of sophrology called the foundation practice for stress management. So it's one video, very quick. It's not time consuming. It's for people who are want to find new solution to manage stress and don't necessarily have a lot of time. And otherwise, we're based in London, so if you're around, you can always come to one of our group classes. All the events are on the website, or come to our clinic if you want to sort something specific and you want that more therapeutic approach to stress management, anxiety, sleep problems, but also preparing for events. Like we also see people who are passing exams, who are competitors in sport, for example, stage performers, and we can use sophrology to help them feel at their best and perform at their best. And
even birth preparation. I mean,
that's true. I forgot. Yes.
I remember when I had to be induced in the end, even though, well, not in the end, it was induced early, and then. So we had worked on this whole initial plan that we had done was that I would be not really but I'd be doing my sophrology in water and do a water birth. And then life happened and my child stopped growing in my womb and we had to get her out quickly. And now all of a sudden I'm hooked up to a drip. I'm begging for an epidural because damn, that was sore. And we changed the practice. Now it was just to get me through this period. It wasn't, and I was still visualizing how I wanted everything to happen. And I remember because I was taken in on the Monday. I went in on the Monday. Isabella was born on the Wednesday. The cramps started, so the contractions started on Monday at 6 p.m. I'll never forget, because suddenly my husband and my mum had to leave. And I was like, no, I'm just starting to feel contractions. But I kept doing the sophrology practice over and over again. I kept moving my hand in the way that I wanted her head to turn so that she could beautifully come out. And I'll never forget that. So it really works so well for birth preparation as well.
Yeah, I think it prepares for the birth you're gonna have. Nobody knows.
Oh, I love that.
Nobody knows what kind of birth will happen, and we can have hopes, and sometimes things go in a different way. And I think what sophrology prepares you for is to have the resilience to go through whatever life is gonna prepare for as in stock for you. And I think what we train through this visualization is not having the perfect birth, it's having the resilience to cope with the birth you're gonna have. And that's everyone can at the end be grateful and proud of the birth you have. Because I think it's, again, there's no competition about birth or a better birth than a good birth. It's all about welcoming this new beautiful human being in life and making sure we're healthy and thriving and have the energy to look after the baby after. Because as we now know, birth is only one side of the story. There's a lot more coming after. No
one prepared us, but we are on a mission to prepare women. Okay, my darling, this has been so much fun. I've really thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Angelique. Thank you, everyone here. It's been
if you have any questions, pop them down, and we'll try and answer them all. And get hold of Dominique's book or have a look at her website. And I really, if you've been following the balance plan, you've been following me for a while, this is a fantastic addition to the work that we've done together. And I feel like it's a level up on our 4-7 breathing as well, where you guide it through this visualization part. So I highly encourage that you get involved as well. Thank you so much to everyone that's been live with us and to everyone that's watching on replay as well. I hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you soon. Thank you again, darling.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Angelique. Thanks.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care, darling. Bye.